Good afternoon. I'm Saad Al-Aziz, the owner and head instructor of Semper Fortis Jiu Jitsu here in San Antonio, Texas, and here to tackle this week's question of the week. So this week's question of the week is more of a complicated question, but I'm addressing it because it's a common question in jiu-jitsu schools throughout the world, and so I want to give it my best answer. But it's going to be a question that's not normally something that type of questions I get, but it's a good question, and I think it's going to be very beneficial. And to best serve answering the questions, I'm just going to read the question that was sent to me, because this is not a student that trains at my school, but trains at another location. And the person said, I wanted to ask you, how do I get over a crush that I have on a BJJ teammate? This person really helped and encouraged me a lot in my journey, and we shared a lot of information about ourselves and with each other. I asked the person out to coffee, and the person said no, but the person still wants to help me grow. It feels weird, and I'm filled with anxiety and guilt. This is the best Brazilian Jiu Jitsu school I have been to, and I do not want to leave it. Thanks. So it is a very tough situation. It's a tough question. And it's a tough situation for both people, because the reality of life, and this is from a 54-year-old person's perspective, not just a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu perspective, but as a 54-year-old person, I realize you're going through life, we all do, and there's going to be people that you're interested in that aren't going to be interested in you. And that's just the way it goes. Like in the 70s, when I was a kid, I had a t-shirt of Farrah Fawcett, and I dreamed that one day I would marry Farrah Fawcett. For those of you that are younger, you can Google who Farrah Fawcett is. She was a beautiful actress in the 70s and 80s. So, but it wasn't to be. So, realize that sometimes relationships just aren't going to happen. You're going to be interested in that person's not going to be interested in you. And honestly, my best advice for anybody watching the video is that you should never try to pursue a relationship at your place of work or at the place that you spend your recreational time at, because it's going to cause problems. That's why most workplaces say, hey, don't have a relationship here. You know, you're not allowed to date coworkers. I think the Boston Celtics just suspended their coach because he had an inappropriate relationship with a coworker. So in general, you do not want to have relationships at your place of work or at your place of recreation, because if the relationship doesn't work, now the environment isn't going to be as good. As a school owner, I can tell you, when I see two of my students, start dating, I'm happy for them. But in most cases, I realize that when that relationship doesn't work, I'm losing one or both of those students, because the other is not going to feel comfortable training here anymore because they don't want to see their ex. And when I say a place of recreation, that could be your jiu-jitsu school. A friend of mine, he just ended his relationship. It was a long-term relationship he was in, and he's like, now I see her every Sunday at church, and it's really awkward. It's like, well, yeah, like if you meet somebody in church, now going to church after the relationship ends could be very awkward and uncomfortable. So that's why I would recommend, don't date your coworkers at your place of work, and don't date people at your place of recreation or the place that you spend a lot of time, when you're not working. But I know that's not always going to happen. And then, somebody could say, well, you and your wife, you both do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and you're married, and it works out great for you. And that is very true. However, I did not meet Sway at a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu school. Matter of fact, Sway and I were married for like 3 years, before she started Jiu Jitsu. So like I was doing jiu-jitsu for like over 3 or 4 years before Sway started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I brought my wife into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I didn't find my wife on the mats, doing sweeps. And, we made googly eyes at each other and said, hey, this is eternal love. No, we were already together, and then she started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I was already doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We were already married, and she started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I just want to clear that up, because matter of fact, on the little picture, I'm going to put a picture of me and my wife. So it's like, I think it can work, but in most cases, if you meet somebody at work or at your jiu-jitsu school, it's not going to work. And most relationships don't work. That's just the reality. As to whether you should leave the school or not, that is a question that only you can truly answer. Because based on what you have said in your email to me, like you didn't do anything inappropriate, so the person who was interested is okay with, what happened. And if you're okay with what happened, then yes, you could continue to train there. But keep in mind that you're going to have to, and when I say you have to answer this question yourself, is you have to determine, can you deal with the situation? If you find yourself infatuated with this other person, are you going to be able to deal with the situation that this is a love that is to never be? And, are you going to be able to react okay when this person maybe has a romantic interest with somebody else at the gym? Are you still going to be able to train, or is this going to be a barrier for you? Because you have to understand that any more pursuit of this person that you're interested in, who has told you that the romantic interest is not mutual, any more pursuit is sexual harassment, or can be sexual harassment. So you have to accept that this isn't going to happen, and you got to let it go. And so as to whether you should change schools or not, only you are going to be able to answer that, my friend. Are you going to, because the question really is, or the answer really is, can you accept the fact that this is a relationship that is never going to happen, and it's never going to go past you just train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu together? And it seems like, the person is probably a higher belt than you, so they're helping to train you. So are you going to be able to accept it? I hope you are. If you can, I'd say stay at the gym that you're at. If you cannot, then you do need to find another gym. And so look inside yourself and see what the best answer for you is. All right, that's it for this week's question of the week. If you got a question for next week, fire down below. And if anybody has any ideas or comments or experiences, with this topic at their gym or at their place of work that you feel is constructive, feel free to make a comment below, and that could add to the conversation and maybe be helpful. All right, ciao.